Well, apologies for the fact that we have absolutely no audio for the past about 4 minutes or so. Apparently everything was on the wrong audio track, so we apologize for that. But hopefully you did see your starting grid passing by on the left-hand bottom side of your screen. Again, apologies for that. Had to do some a little bit of testing with our different audio tracks, but thanks for letting us know. Hopefully everything else is fine as well. So again, apologies for any issues, but regardless, should be getting underway momentarily. All 30 cars here on the grid for this afternoon's race. It's a good thing everything was discovered early on during the gridding process instead of during the race, because that would be quite awkward. But regardless, the pace car has decided to finally roll away now that all 30 cars have gridded. And we see from a far away shot here that everyone is relatively spread out, just trying to get back going. Probably some drivers having issues starting their cars, but everyone is out and rolling. And for tonight, it's going to be a 75-lap event, with Talladega being 2.66 miles as compared to Daytona's 2.5 miles. Your race length today is going to be 75 laps, and the stage end will be at lap number 35. And if a caution does come out about lap 32 or so, then, well, that will be the official end of the stage. So stage end at lap 35 if everything goes good, but if caution does come out between lap 32 and lap 35, well, that is pretty much the end of the stage. Until then, one-man crew being yours truly will be bringing this race as per usual, all possibly 2 hours, depending on if it goes the other direction, but have a projected 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 5 seconds if everything does go fully green. Pit stops going to be a factor as well for tonight. I believe 75% fuel in these cars. But regardless, pace car going to be pulling off the track into pit road, and that's going to put the field in control of Lucas Cram in the number 44. Race 2 of the Sim Auto Racing Group Superspeedway Series is about to go underway here at Talladega. Flag in hand from the starter. Everyone waiting as the field goes on green. Green flag flies, and we're underway from Talladega. Well, the first lap is now complete here at Talladega Superspeedway, and it's being led by Benjamin Nelson that time by the start-finish line. And he will be out in front, leading the field here as he moves down to the inside lane. As Brendan Hoff going way up the racetrack, having complications, maybe trying to fall to the very back, but I don't think that message got through to Sean Howell in the 38, as we are 3 wide very early on down the back straightaway. The top line may be falling back here momentarily. Only 3 cars up top, being the 9 of Brendan Hoff, the 38 of Sean Howell, and the 1 machine of Michael Klein. All of them will be getting shuffled into the back of the field as very early on Once again, we are single file. About the top 9, top 8 drivers all in a single file lane, save for one driver up top. That is the number 2 of Robert Roeder. And now the 27 of Alex Fox will go to the top side. Riding on board the number 2 machine of Robert Roeder as he pushes the 27, at least attempts to. At least staying behind that 27's back bumper for the moment. And now comes Lucas Cram to the outside lane. That's going to push Roeder almost up 3 wide, but they all managed to hang on to it. They all managed to stay in 2 lanes for now. Lucas Cram comes back. He'll lead this lap and he'll move right back in front of Benjamin Nelson, taking the lead this time by. One driver away at top, that is Clint Spillman in the number 88. Unfortunately for him, he does not seem to be having the best day so early on as he'll decide to drop back. In fact, another driver just in front of Clint Spillman, not sure who that is actually, but someone else in front of Clint Spillman is up on the outside as well. That's the 91 and the 58. Both drivers will go to the inside lane almost. Unfortunately, the 58 not able to settle in. Not sure if that actually is. Actually, the 68, apologies, of Colin Fern, who's trying to get to the inside of Road Armor, and everyone trying to situate themselves and get themselves in line in front. Benjamin Nelson, meanwhile, out front once again on the inside. That's going to become a little bit of a pattern here for these first few laps. As the outside lane gets going, well, the lead car has 2 options: to either let themselves go to the inside or bring the driver that's pushing them on the outside to the inside lane as well. And of course, this tells a tale already. The first half of the field, I should say, actually, it's going to be all double file. Meanwhile, the back half of the field, well, for the most part, the back quarter of the field, by the looks of it, led by Colby Wells in the 45. They're all single file. Luke Parks, way up on his lonesome on the very outside lane. He wants nothing to do with anybody right now, and I'm pretty sure that this is why, as we are 3 wide once again. The third lane actually working, it was working early on, being led by the number 15, but that looks to be the downfall of those drivers on the outside lane. Someone's dropping back on the inside. That's the 57 of Stephen Ellis. I believe he did this at Daytona as well. Stay up front in the main pack just for a few laps to feel everything out. Then decides, well, you know what, I'm going to go to the back of this pack and hope for the best. As Nick Olson almost got doored by Dustin Schwingle in the number 7 machine there. That was a close call. But luckily, they do manage to keep everything together. At this point, waiting and wondering how pit strategy will work, of course, as they're going to be up front. You're going to be the one on your pretty much all the way on full throttle. Robert Roeder, unfortunately, falling back on the outside lane. Going to be pushed by the 91, maybe not. Doesn't know what to do just yet. Decides to go in the middle lane. That's going to leave the 91 all on his lonesome up on the left-hand side of your screen. Connection issues by somebody mid-pack, but luckily for Wreckage, he does stay with this main pack. Benjamin Nelson back out front, and he's going to be bringing the 27 Alex Fox with him. And right when I say that, he leaves Alex on the outside lane to lead the outside lane, but now Alex is going to come back on the outside with help from Nick Olson in the 24. Olson dives down to the inside, and Alex Fox in the 27 cannot catch a break so early on, and the momentum difference is massive to the point where Alex Fox has to go to the very top side and fall all the way to the back of this main group. And already to the outside, here comes Benjamin Nelson battling the 24. A quick dive just off turn number 2 that time around. Somehow everyone manages to hang on to it. And it's only lap 8 of 75, keeping in mind. Stage end at 35 with a caution. Cram almost comes into the left rear of Benjamin Nelson. No harm, no foul. As we ride on board Derek Newsom in the number 50. Looks to be actually 31 cars here for tonight's event. These drivers are going to need all the space that is available to them. So Nick Olson in the 24 leads the inside lane. Benjamin Nelson in the 33 leads the outside lane. And I think just in the background, yeah, the 91 of Ted Rekich falls with that second middle lane. He'll go right back up to the top side because Joey Picuella goes up top. No, never mind. No one really knows what to do. The 91 did look to go to the top side. Same with the 68 of Colin Fern. They all want to go to the top side, but I can't really seem to sort it out for the moment. Hopefully they will, but by the looks of it, the 22 is going to be falling back. So 22 of Picuella, unfortunately, falls to the very back of the field, at least the back of this group. Meanwhile, a almost perfect split, 15th place on back, being led by Alex Fox on the 27, who was left out to dry just a couple laps ago on the very top side, couldn't get back in line. Speaking of not being able to get in line, the 88 not able to do so. Fox trying to control both lanes. Not sure if that's the best decision as of yet, but we'll see. But this second half of the field being led by the number 27 and number 88, Alex Fox and Clint Spillman, respectively. Meanwhile, mid-pack, in the main group, we are 3 wide. The 22 of Picuella managed to get right back to the back bumper of the 91. And that very outside lane, right next to the outside wall, driver's right-hand side, that is the 68, who nearly, we have someone on the apron, actually. Hang on a second, that is Derek Newsom, who saves it. Derek Newsom was on the apron in turns 3 and 4. He does manage to hang on to it, but a very close call by that number 50 regardless. He can't really get back out onto the track. Now he can, but will fall back from essentially the top 15 all the way now to 31st, dead last for the number 50 machine. We're going to take a quick look here. I'm going to take a quick look here on our replay. As Derek Newsom had gotten loose in turns 3 and 4, got onto the apron, and just managed to hang on to it. We're going to take an on-board look here from the 50 of Derek Newsom. He backs off from the number 7 we see, gets onto the apron, just hangs onto it. And gets loose again, actually, off turn number 4, but he still manages to hang onto it. So great job by Derek Newsom to hang on to it. Meanwhile, back with your live pictures. Benjamin Nelson leads the inside lane, with Lucas Cram in second place, directly behind him on the inside lane. And we see that third lane continuing to just kind of hover there. That is Colin Fern in the 68 and the number 91 of Ted Rekich. The 24 of Olson moves up top. I think he was going to try and dive up to the outside, but he decides against it. Maybe got pushed by the 37 of Road Armor, as Road Armor actually almost loses it in both directions. Luckily, does keep the car stable. Lap 14 of 75, as you can see up there on the top right-hand side, as a 95, a little bit of a bobble. Christopher Lewis does hang on to it. Maybe a bit too close for comfort for that 95. have a spin, I believe, in the back. Caution is out for the first time this afternoon. It's Benjamin Nelson. It's essentially a big one, I think. Half the field, I believe, involved in this crash. A few good number of drivers. Raymond Lee's in the 12 here, also involved. Unfortunately, not sure what happened, but did see just on the left-hand side that someone had spun out. Tried to scramble for the picture, and unfortunately, well, it just was not the case. It involved Will Rodarmer in the number 37, as well as the 33 of Benjamin Nelson. And we'll see what happens here. These drivers do have one faster pair available to them if they do need it. So we're going to take a look, and all three drivers try to go to the inside, and that just wasn't going to happen. And Rodarmer slides right back up in front. Hard crash with the number 9. That's Brendan Hoff. And the track pretty much has cleaned itself. As the caution is out for the first time this afternoon, we're going to ride on board with Benjamin Nelson in the number 33. That's just a matter of paying a bit too much attention, or too little attention, I should say. Too much attention to the driver in front of you, too little attention to your spotter. The 07 got involved and, gets hit again, unfortunately. Nelson was in the grass, couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't move out of the way. We're going to ride on board with the 07 as well. That is Mitchell Muma. Just nowhere to go, gets caught up. It's pretty much all said and done. Well, caution out again for the first time this afternoon. Already off pit road are a couple drivers. Your stage, of course, has not ended. This is still the first stage. And that will end in 20 laps time. That will end at the completion of lap 35, and then a caution will be thrown for the end of that stage. So almost splitting this stage up in half. So for the moment, as we sit under caution with Lucas Cram out in front, he'll be leading the field to the green flag with Nick Olson in second place, Colin Fern in third place. These drivers, actually along with Alex Bell, everyone pretty much did go to pit road, aside for Mitchell Muma in the 07. He has yet to go to pit road. Everyone else did. But your top four have pretty much 7 seconds or less of pit stops. So it looks to be fuel for the time being to be the focus. Mitchell Muma on lap 16, of course, has yet to go to pit road, but drivers that seemed to have been involved in the wreck were Derek Newsom in the 50, Tim Brannigan in the 69, who just had 1:17 seconds worth of pit stops, and Sean Stevens, who was also in pit road in his pit box for a minute. Same goes for Clint Spillman and Robbie Lyons, and no guarantee they were involved, but judging by the 53 seconds or so on their pit stops, one can only imagine that they had some type of damage. So it should be one to go this time by. All eyes will be on the pace car here. Coming to the travel exit, drivers looking to go double file. That means only one thing: lights will be out. And they are. So 2 wide. Any and all lap cars at the back, but everyone here, all 31 cars in pit road. Sean Stevens actually in pit road for the first time. Mitchell Muma, the only driver that has yet to really go to pit road. Everyone else, all 30 other cars, have went to pit road. And Mitchell, with that heavy back end damage, can only survive so long up here in the top 10 with so much aero damage. But looks to be saving his fast repair for anything bigger in case that does happen. Colin Fern, Lucas Cram look to be saving some fuel on the inside lane, trying to get the shortest way around to save a little bit of fuel. It's never too late to save fuel as well. So at this point, when the green flag comes back out, it will be a run to the stage end at lap 35. Again, if the caution does come out at lap 32, or in between lap 32 and lap 35, then the stage will automatically end. The top 10 will be determined at your moment of caution. We'll also be interviewing your stage winner when available after their pit stops. But until then, we have to get through another about 18 or so laps. Pace car goes into the safety of pit road. The field always goes on green here. So it's all up to the one and the only starter. Has the flag in hand. Ready to set the field loose once again. And we're back underway at Talladega, coming to lap number 18. After the first caution, and look at Colin Fern. He is all over the back bumper of Lucas Cram. But right away, Alex Bell in the number 15 looks to go to the top side, but instead, we'll say right in on the 24s. We have another caution, a huge crash on the restart, I believe. I don't believe Newsom was involved, but somebody was. It must have been a quick spin. We're not sure what exactly happened as the caution came back out pretty much right away. I'm going to take a replay just in case and see what exactly had happened here. Unless it was called by race control. It was called by race control, actually. So we're not entirely sure on why the caution was called here. You may have to wait for a little bit. So no replay. We're going to be sticking live here. No replay. We're going to be sticking live. As the caution was called by race control. Not sure as to why. We'll see if we can get an answer at some point here momentarily. But in the meantime, while we await that answer, we're going to be going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back here with your green flag run. Stay tuned here to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network as we bring you the Sim Auto Racing Group Superspeedway Series here with the Talladega 200. Well, we are back live here at Talladega. We actually do have a reason for the caution. We just found it out. Looking back through the available video footage, was listening, seeing if race control had said anything for the reason for that start. Actually, it was because of a crash on the restart that iRacing did not call because it happened pretty much so suddenly and kind of so slowly. So we will get that momentarily here. That was on that restart that we had just had. So, of course, it was lap 17 coming to lap 18. Unfortunately, have lost it for the time being due to temporary technical issues. We'll get this as soon as possible here on the restart. But it was involving the 02 of Alan Ballacchino and the 75 of Travis Ferry. Unfortunately, the one that got the worst of it was the number 57 machine. So here is your replay. The 02, the purple and the white car pushing the 75. And then right to the inside goes Stephen Ellis, and everyone was so spread out at that point that the caution just had to be called by race control. And that is why we were back under caution. Running on board the 57 of Ellis. Oh yeah, just nowhere to go. And unfortunately took out the 46, that is Dane Cruz, who is also involved. So that is why we are back under caution and why we came back early from our commercial break. That's to give you that replay. So lights should be out this time by the start-finish line on the pace car. And then we will have a 14 lap run to the stage end of lap number 35. Lights go out, 14 laps until the stage end. And this is actually going to be good for a few drivers, or pretty much everybody. They all have this chance to save any and all portions of fuel that they can, or any amounts of fuel. So at the moment it is only one driver that has retired, and that is Stephen Ellis. Unfortunately, too much damage on his car, was not able to repair it. And now we're just waiting for the pace car to make its rounds once again, go all the way around at a currently staggering, looks to be 65 miles per hour highway speeds, believe it or not. And sometimes, as I've always realized or mentioned, is that you never realize how slow highway speeds are until you see it in a physical form on a racetrack. You never realize how long it really does take sometimes. At the moment, we should be planning to take a quick commercial break just before pit stops have occurred, and then we should be able to bring in your stage winner just after a commercial break once the stage has ended. Until then, we have to wait and see who is going to be the driver to finish first in the stage. The driver to finish first last week is the one that we're looking at. Currently in first right now, it is the 44 of Lucas Cram. We came to a very insane finish last week at Daytona. And I'm pretty sure that he is wanting and chomping at the bit to get that win once again. 2 wins in a row as well is what he's looking for this week. Starter has the flag in hand incredibly early, making sure that they know, that the field knows to go on the starter. Waiting to wave the green flag as we come now to 14 laps to go in the stage. 21 coming to 22. And looks like a much better start this time around for everyone. Granted, their a little spread out, but they all do hang on to their vehicles. And we see a little bit of a group now forming, at least 3 different packs here, with a little bit of space in between each of them. Lucas Cram will lead this first one. Joey Picuella will lead the second one. And looks to be Derek Newsom leading this third group. Derek Newsom, unfortunately, with heavy front end damage, probably, I believe, still waiting for a chance to use his fast repair. Right now, up front, it is a 8-car battle for the lead. 4 up top, 4 on the bottom. 24 of Nick Olson trying to give a little bit more, give a little bit more space on the driver's side. Maybe trying to actually help Colin Fern, or rather Alex Bell, trying to help him cool his engine down, but that's not going to go so well as Bell nearly gets shuffled out of the outside lane. Almost gets sent to the back of this group. And we are practically 3 wide. As we were for a couple moments. And the entry to turn 3. Now those top 2 groups have caught up to each other. Now it's just a matter of waiting and seeing who will be in the top 10 at stage end. Colin Fern in the 68, a little bit of a bobble there with the second car of the inside lane. Finding it difficult to stay behind the 44 as well as cooling his engine maybe just a little bit. So far, so good. As Clint Spillman will be leading this second group in the back. Relatively smaller group, but they're all running single file, and that is what matters to these drivers. Luke Parks in the number 3 with Lucas Strayer in the number 41 machine. He's also with Brendan Hoffman 9 and the 38 of Sean Howell. So these 4 have their own little bit of a group, but they do have the tow from the 02 at the moment of Alan Ballacino to catch up if they so choose to do. Or if they so choose to do so, I should say. But regardless, relatively stagnant here for your first group. No one has really made any major position changes. Fern right on top of the back bumper here of Lucas Cram. This time by it will be 50 laps to go, 10 laps to go until this stage is over. Again, if the caution does come out at lap 32, then the stage is officially ended. I believe at the moment of caution. But regardless, top 10 will get points going from 10 to 1. That will go into the playoff points. It's not a win and you're in points race as well. Just a regular old race. Nick Olson peeking out to the outside. He might get the lead into turn 1. He does, just barely cutting in front of the nose of the 44 of Lucas Cram. And now Alex Bell in the 15 has a shot at getting into this lead position. He's got help from Alex Fox in the number 27, as well as anybody else on the outside lane who's willing to help. That's Fox giving a wide amount of space. He actually won't go down to the inside lane immediately. He'll try and bring Alex Bell with him, or Alex Fox with him, and he does. So Alex and Alex currently in your top 2. And now Nick Olson is saying, well, you know what? I'm not going to have any of that. And now it's getting pushed by the 91 of Ted Riddick. Coming up on a lap car by the looks of it. That looks to be Mitchell Muma in the 07. Luckily, the best part of the track to stay high as well in the tri-oval. With so many lanes of space available, Nick Olsen goes into the lead once again. So on the inside lane, your first 3 cars, it is Nick Olsen in the 24, Alex Bell in the 15, Alex Fox in the 27. Outside lane being led by the 91 of Ted Riddick, with Benjamin Nelson second place in line up top, as well as Robert Roeder. We haven't really seen Benjamin Nelson since he got involved in that first crash, and you see on his front end he does still have the remaining damage from that incident as well. I was on the restart, rather the first caution that came out on the back straightaway into turn number 3. And this is something to think about as Riddick goes to the lead, or Rickich. Nick Olsen straight back to the outside. Olsen not giving up that lead position for these stage points. And these are all 17 or so, 19 drivers, all within about a tenth of each other. Maybe, actually correction, all within 1.2 seconds of each other. And now goes Rickich to the outside lane, appearing to make contact on the entry to the tri-oval. This is starting to heat up just a little bit. And you see the 44 of Cram, 1 moment in the lead on the inside lane. Next thing you know, he's 4th in line, could be 5th in line if Rickich does get pushed out front here on the back straightaway. We'll have to wait and see. '75 of Travis Ferry going a lot down. The inside lane getting a huge burst of momentum. Nick Olsen out in front by 2 car lengths. Could try and control both lanes if he wanted to, but look at this. Alex Bell does have an opening if he chooses to take it. Olsen gets into the apron, but just hangs on to it. On tri-oval entry, cuts the nose off the 15. Somehow everyone keeps it straight. No, caution is out. The 0-2, it's a big crash. It's the second half of the field for the most part. The second half of this group, 10 cars involved, just about. Brandon Hoff involved. We saw the 44 of Cram is involved. The 41 of Strayer. Parks, I believe, is also involved by the looks of it. And this is not, repeat, not the stage end. It's going to be essentially a green-white checker situation. Caution out for the 3rd time this afternoon, unfortunately. And it's a much bigger one than before. Travis Ferry should be getting the wave around this time by, once everything sorts itself out in scoring. But Alan Ballacchino, unfortunately, with more bad luck coming to the start-finish line, your second driver to retire as well. And we'll take another look to see what happened to the 0-2 this time by. The 0-2 up on the outside lane, again, purple and white vehicle. And actually didn't start with him, he just got caught up in it. Cram got turned around. And it was on from there, as it has been said throughout the years of Superspeedway racing. It's going to be roughly a 2-lap shootout here to the stage finish. Get an onboard look with Alan Ballacchino in the 0-2. As it happened between the 68 and the 2 of Roeder. So the 68 of Colin Fernan and the 2 of Roeder make contact in front of Ballacchino. And, oh man. The 7 gets caught up in it as well by the looks of it. Many drivers involved here. No one has went to pit road as well. They all want these stage points to get to the end. Get an onboard look from the 44 of Lucas Cram from his back bumper to see what relatively what he saw in his mirror. This will be coming off turn 4 going into the tri-oval. You see Collins run up on the outside, the 2 of Rotor. The 2 comes down. It's just one of those racing incidents. See the 41 of Strayer involved, the 3 of Parks. Many drivers involved, some of which probably have yet to use their faster pair, and very rightly so. That is the reason to wait for the right moment to use that faster pair. Well, a little bit of an update, of course, on your current scoring situation. This looks to be, first of all, a one-lap shootout to the stage end. But in the meantime, it's going to be Nick Olson restarting first, Ted Rickich in second, Alex Bell will be restarting third, Benjamin Nelson will restart fourth, and Alex Fox will restart in fifth. Rotor 6th, 7th is going to be Lewis, 8th place is Parks, 9th place is going to be Quinn Gingrich, and 10th place is Sean Howell. Looking through right now, Lucas Cram has been sitting in pit road trying to get whatever he can repaired. Lucas Strayer also getting whatever he can repaired. Same with Colin Fern, Robbie Lyons, Tim Brannigan. Double checking, of course, name pronunciation here. Tim Brannigan, and of course, Mitchell Muma. We just had recently 2 minutes of repairs, but that was 13 laps ago. So all eyes will be on the pace car once again, this time by. Again, that was not the stage end. The stage end will be at the completion of lap number 35. So technically when lap number 36 shows up on that scoring in the top right, that is when the stage will be over. It'll be a competition caution, a stage ending caution. If a caution does not come out before then, of course, but we'll see what plays out. Waiting for the pace car to cross the line, waiting for the lights to shut off at the start-finish line. Lights go out, and it's a one-lap shootout to the stage end. Well, we'll see how hard these drivers are willing to race for your top 10 stage points. Some drivers, such as Luke Parks, you see in the number 3, have heavily damaged back rear ends. And that's going to mess with the aero a very significant amount. And Parks is 8th right now. Pretty much anything that could help him out would be a push, or, dare I say, problems happening in front. Good news, although, for the 48 of Quinn Gingrich. Getting a lot better look this week here at Talladega. At the moment, he is restarting in 9th place by the looks of this, I believe, on the inside lane. Much better compared to his last run at Daytona last week, where he was a lap down. I don't believe actually was not able to finish the race. So Gingrich will restart in 9th. Sean Howell will restart 10th on the outside lane. That's all run down 1 lap to the start-finish line. So our top 10 currently consists of Nick Olson, Ted Rickich, Alex Bell, Benjamin Nelson, Alex Fox, Robert Roeder, Luke Parks, Christopher Lewis, Sean Howell, and Quinn Gingrich. Of course, not in that exact order of 1st to 10th. But as your top 10, we'll see how much they shuffle out. But Nick Olson on a hard charge, determined to get to this first stage. Determined to win the race as well, but he has to get through this 1-lap shootout to the end of the stage. Starter has the flag in hand, ready to go. Of course, only able to go on green is this field. Possibly not, as it was an early go by the 24. Might be a penalty afterwards. We'll double check with everything regardless. This is a one-lap shootout to the end of the stage. Look at this. Look at this. Ted Ricketts all over the back bumper trying to shoot up to the outside. Well, Ted Ricketts may now get shuffled back as Benjamin Nelson is going to be in the third place position. Alex Bell is going to be in line to get the stage win, if he can make it to the end, of course. Ricketts gets shuffled all the way to the back. The 15 of Bell may want to go, and it's going to be Fox, unfortunately, staying behind. It's going to be a race for third place, rather. Maybe 3 wide for that third place position as they come to the stage, and caution will be out. This time, boys, they're nearly 4 wide. And that is your stage end. Nick Olson, your stage winner, coming to the start-finish line. And now he has to make it to the end. Everyone's going to have to let the pace car by. We'll get an interview with Nick Olson shortly. Everyone's going to have to let the pace car by, of course, but everyone more than likely going to be going into pit road. So we will take a quick commercial break here, and we'll be back with an interview with the 24 of Olson. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe. For Audie's win here on this outside line. Neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron. Drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
Well, we are back live here at Talladega Superspeedway, about to talk to Nick Olson, and we'll see if we can get him pretty much right now, just momentarily. Nick Olson, do you have a copy?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Nick, well, that was a incredibly wild finish, and that was just towards the stage end, and throughout that first stage, you were moving out to the outside lane pretty much any opportunity you had. And right now you sit 6th on the restart. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like I have one style for these kind of races. You got to do it one way, or everybody likes to ride in the back for the most part. I like to just stay on the offense and keep it out front if I can. So when that wreck does happen, I've been fairly lucky that has been behind me. It's just a preferable style, just to keep it up front, but I'm sure this is only going to get crazier and crazier. People are taking care of their stuff back there, and we're going to have a hell of a show.
Hopefully that is the case. Before we go ahead and let you go, what are your thoughts heading into this final portion of the race?
I mean, everything can and will happen. It's a restrictor plate race, so just got to be prepared for anything. Keep that fast repair in the bank for as long as you can, and
hopefully that will be the case. Thanks for talking to us. We hope to talk to you by the end of the race.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Nick Olson, and we'll try something really quickly, unfortunately, as I believe the lights are out on the pace car. As they do go out, Will Road Armor is now in your first place position after pit stops. So a restart will be consisting of Will Road Armor in the number 37, the 1 of Michael Klein, the 7 of Dustin Schwingel, the 24 of Nick Olson, the 15 of Alex Bell, the 33 of Benjamin Nelson. Possibly some issues for Nick Olson, unfortunately. So we'll move back up the racetrack. Our top 10 going to be Road Armor, Klein, Schwingel, Olson, Nelson, Bell, Roeder, Fox, Lewis, and Wreckage. So after all that, and with Will Road Armor being out in front for, I believe, the first time this afternoon in this race, pretty much anything can and will happen, and that's what Nick Olson had said, of course. That anything can and will happen. Well, we have now 3 cars out, unfortunately. And from 29th to 31st, we have Colby Wells, who retired, Alan Ballacino, and Stephen Ellis, all of which who are not going to be finishing tonight. Regardless of that, we have another 28 drivers in total on the lead lap, all within, the moment, 1 second of each other. Everyone being lined up single file behind, all within 9.2 seconds of each other, correction. But regardless, Will Road Armor, the 37, will be bringing everyone to the green flag here on lap number 39, coming to 39. As the starter has the flag in hand. And we're back underway here at Talladega. The second half of this race is underway. A few drivers do have damage from the first half, have yet to use their fast repair, and they're waiting for the right moment to do so. This, of course, doesn't seem to be one of those moments just from those minor back end damages. That minor back end damage, Alex Bell looking to drop all the way to the back, playing it safe early on with aero damage on the back. He would have went up front, I'm sure. He would have went up onto the outside lane or back into the main inside lane, but he did not have the space to do so. So he'll fall back now to 22nd as Michael Klein and Nick Olson, the 1 and the 24, will be leading the outside lane. Well, while we do have the chance to do so, maybe not 4 wide actually, Benjamin Nelson falling way back up top. They were 4 wide for a quick moment. Luckily that moment was, well, quite literally quick. Maybe about a second to 2 seconds. Everyone managing to hang on to everything, keeping their cars apart from each other. Oh, never mind, right when I say that, the 7 of Schwingel is involved. This is the big one, I believe, as we enter turn number 3. It's everyone scrambles for positions to get around crashes. It's a huge one on the entry of turn number 3. Some drivers coming up to the end of it. The 3 of Luke Parks, we just mentioned. Some drivers may be saving their fast repair, and this is why Alex Bell had dropped to the back. He doesn't look to have any extra damage. But a close call nonetheless. Caution is out once again here at Talladega. I'm not sure what exactly had happened, but it started with the number 7 of Schwingel getting involved with somebody. We'll have to wait and see. So it's coming down the back straightaway. 27 moves up top and comes right way too close to the number 7. Surprisingly, I don't believe this was the big one. Oh man, the 26 with nowhere to go. That's Sean Stevens. It's like a deer in headlights, just absolutely nowhere to go. But from that, it looks like the initial incident, the 27 got a bit too close to the left rear and unfortunately tried to side draft, but got way uncomfortably close. And it was pretty much on from there. As we're going to be riding on board Sean Stevens to see what he saw. Oh man, by the looks of that, it looks like he was hoping that they wouldn't be there, and unfortunately they were there right at the last moment. Going to be riding on board Alex Fox in number 27. And unfortunately just got way too close. The 48 got a piece of it by the looks of that as well. Ooh, Benjamin Nelson coming through right at the last second. We're going to take one more look on board. We do have a little bit of time as well available to us if needed. Ooh, nearly got hit by the 7, goes up top, then back to the inside. Great awareness. Multiple drivers going through the grass as well. There's almost another spin as well by the looks of it, involving the 91 and 22, but they all make it out okay. So that pretty much is, that now for the replays. As many drivers are involved, everyone having a lot of bad luck. Talladega, of course, is being, well, the usual Talladega. Not very forgiving, of course, with the wider space available to everyone. As well as just the part that everyone trying to get used to the wider space, possibly more used to Daytona, where it's more narrow. You're forced to go at least 2 wide for the majority of the track, 3 wide if you're willing and able to do so. 4 wide at a track, well, of course, this wide at Talladega, well, something's bound to happen. Lights on the pace car will be shutting off momentarily. Just waiting for the pace car to cross the start-finish line. Will Brodarmer still, of course, in the first place position. Olsen will be restarting in second on the outside lane. See somebody leaving pit road. That looks to be not Brett Murphy actually, who just entered pit road. Right now, 27 cars are on your lead lap, 2 of which are a lap or more down. So lights on the pace car have now gone out. The field still shuffling in some areas due to drivers continuing to make repairs. Luke Parks is one of them, I believe. 15 of Alex Bell may be getting some tires and fuel. Some of these drivers don't look to have any major damage, unless you're the 7 of Dustin Schwingle. Everyone is still on pit road, of course, just trying to figure out what to do. Schwingle takes his fast repair. Alex Fox may have also taken the fast repair. So everyone's still shuffling about, trying to at least fix their damage or whatever they can. Maybe not use their fast repair if they haven't already. As we await the green flag for the continuation of the second half of this race, I'd like to remind you that Facebook.com/Racing Line Broadcasting Network is our Facebook page, of course. We pretty much remind you and tell you when our next races are coming up, especially the day of. And if you're interested in sponsoring, well, go ahead and message Facebook.com/Racing Line Broadcasting Network. They can sponsor even one broadcast if you choose to do so for tonight, or for not tonight, but rather the remainder of this season. And that includes the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race, depending on if they will be a separate or combined broadcast is yet to be determined. Pace car pulls to the inside, closing in on 30 laps to go. We're going to ride on board Robbie Lyons in the 97 on this restart. Let's see what goes into restarting here at Talladega as we go on board with Robbie Lyons. Very calm restarts. Everyone has immediately gone single file for this restart in the continuation of the second half. As we are 3 wide, right when I say single file, well, the 68, the 15, the 24, and the 11 or the 1 that decided, well, we could, but we'd rather have this happen. Nick Olson is on a charge once again. Meanwhile, the 68 and the 15, Colin Fern and Alex Bell, they decide, well, he's passing us. We might as well join him. We might as well help him out. And we might as well have the 22 join us in the process, but instead, Joey Pecoella going to be stuck on the inside lane. He's trying to move back up again as well. He still can't move back up. He wants to, but he can't. He sees the outside lane forming, and now he's stuck. He has to wait for these 3 to pass. As Nick Olson, not Nick Olson, but rather the 95, Christopher Lewis looks to go to the outside. The 2 of Robert Roeder goes to the outside, and Nick Olson sends it 3 wide into turn number 1. As we are 3 wide to the lead through the first few corners. 30 laps to go as well. The 2 is stuck in the middle with nobody to help him. Joey Pecoella able to go to the middle. Finally, relief for the 22 to be able to go to the outside lane. Someone dropping back as well on the inside. Roeder will join these drivers as he has fallen back, but Nick Olson now will get pushed to the lead almost. Colin Fern and Alex Bell both absolutely punching the back bumper of that number 24 machine. Trying to send the 24 to the front, but also trying to get themselves to the front. That time by it was Olson at the start-finish line who led. Drag race as Road Armor and Newsome, the first two drivers on the inside lane, the 37 and the 50. They are not letting that go down without a fight. Christopher Lewis as well on the inside lane in number 95, third car inside. Outside goes the number 68 of Colin Fern, possibly overheating by the looks of nobody joining him. And that is going to be it for the 68 for the time being. He'll have to wait, cool down his engine, come back at another time. Well, while we have the chance, what do you say that we crank it up? Well, what a wild few laps that has been, and it continues to be, as we are 3 wide for position number 3. Olsen not giving this up without a fight, except his internet connection may say otherwise, unfortunately, as he drops out for a second. Luckily, everything comes back A-OK as we're nearly 3 wide. Travis Ferry from out of absolutely nowhere has made his way up to second place. He also drops out for a quick moment. Luckily comes back. Started 19th, now currently up in, well, first place on the outside lane. Technically now physically third place. 25 laps to go, coming now to 24 to go. Everyone making all these wild moves, and this can only hold it together for so long. But Travis Ferry getting a huge push by Ted Wreckage in the 91. Here comes the 22 of Joey Picoel, a middle 3 wide. Alex Fox in the 15, the 68 of Colin Fern. They continue to run the very top side. They're not actually going to be using the draft of the 22, although the 68 may say, well, we probably should, just so we can get a little bit of a run. A lot of communication between team cars right now, most likely, especially during these few laps. Laps continue to wind down, but look at this, the 75 of Travis Ferry, rookie in this series, at least for this week for sure, will be leading his first lap at the start-finish line. He's got the 28 of Olsen all over the back bumper of him right now. The 2 of Roeder is lurking in this position, and, well, we're talking about new winners here. Where's last week's winner? All the way back in lucky position number 13 at the moment. And that is Lucas Cram, stuck in the middle. Looks to have gotten a faster pair in the meantime. And now we are settled to a scary column 2x2 for, well, the majority of the field at least. Save for some gaps here and there. Oh, look at how close the 91 and 75 got there. That was, both went for the same, that looked like both had gone for the same lane at the exact same time. And I'm sure that was just them trying to hang on to their cars after they have been pushed for so much. Wreckage going to be coming down to the inside lane, just cutting off the nose of the number 75, and that's not going to go so well. Something's going to have to give here at some point. Olsen has abandoned that idea and moved to the inside lane. They all hang on to it as they continue to be 3 wide. Who would have thought you'd see Alex Bell controlling the lead from the middle lane for about 3 seconds there off of turn number 2. It's a drag race down the back straightaway between Rickich and Bell, the 91 and the 15. Here comes Benjamin Nelson out of nowhere. The 33 getting pushed by Lucas Cram. Benjamin Nelson back up front for having sat in the bottom half of the top 10, maybe even outside the top 10 for the majority of the race. Look at the bobble from the 75. This isn't even the final 5 laps yet, and already everyone is acting like it is. Speaking of those final 5 laps, well, we have 3 green-white checkers available. Look at this, 3x2. The entire, well, first 2 lanes are side by side. Essentially your first 6 positions all within 2 lanes for a moment there past the start finish. Ooh, wow. The 68 of Fern is now deciding to back out. He dived down to the inside, halted, and now you see he's decided to back out. He's calling it quits for now. He's playing it safe. At the start finish line, it will be 20 laps to go as they make their way off turn number 4 as the 2 and the 75 nearly make contact. Wreckage going to be trying to hang on to this. Roeder goes to the outside lane, trying to side draft Wreckage as well as they nearly make contact. About a half a foot between them by the looks of that from this camera shot. Roeder leads that lap that time by 20 laps to go. Now the second question is, how long can they keep this up? We never had green flag pit stops, and the most that somebody has ran on their current run of tires and or fuel has been Will Roadarmor, with 24 laps currently run since his last pit stop. How long can this keep up? The 46 of Dane Cruz decides, you know what, I'm going to play it safe too. I'm backing out. You guys have fun battling side by side. Cruz will fall back to just the top 15 positions at the moment. The 37 of Roadarmor look to dive up to the top side, decides against it. Will Road Armor is unfortunately going to be stuck on that inside lane for the time being, as Travis Ferry now will get the push from the 15 of Alex Bell. Look how close they are again, trying to side draft each other, trying to squeeze the inside lane down. And Travis Ferry, if we take a look again, started 19th, led a lap. And it's going back to what from what Nick Olson had said. Third driver at the outside lane. Anything can and will happen. Taking a look at Robert Roeder. He started 7th. Ted Rekich started 12th. It's just a complete scramble of where anybody has been or is right now. Nearly 3 wide. Bell almost peeked into the middle as the 75 will push the 91 into the lead at the moment. Remember, just a couple laps ago, before our crank it up, we had Benjamin Nelson up front. Well, he's lurking in the back. He's sitting roughly about position number 9 on the inside lane right here. 5th driver on the inside lane in that number 33. Ted Rekich giving a lot of space between himself and the inside lane that time by down the back straightaway. Laps continue to wind down. Now it's a matter of who can make it to the end, who can't make it to the end. Is it even possible to make it to the end from here for some drivers such as Will Road Armor, who is looking to go to the outside lane and back into the lead as he almost gets tagged and turned. The 75 just hangs onto it. Alex Bell will fall back to the inside lane. Same with Benjamin Nelson. They all managed to save it. They are heavily spread out, though, at this time. Entire top 10 went from double foul to single foul just like that within the matter of seconds from a near collision. Maybe a few paint scratches here and there. But it has went from 0 to 100 incredibly quickly. This is a lot more aggressive driving than we've seen from the stage end, which of course says something. That, well, of course the wins are worth more points than the stage points. But again, Nick Olson did win the first stage after diving up to the outside lane. And speaking of going out to the outside, Ted Rekich, an absolute amazing save. He had a heavy bobble there. He was about sideways, maybe 3 times over in the tri-oval. We'll see if we can get a quick replay, actually, of his in-car camera here, because he had just managed to hang on to it. And we'll see for Ted Rekich. In-car camera. Watch his hands here. Look at that wheel work. Well, if that doesn't say how hard these drivers are driving right now, I don't know what will. But maybe this next live shot will tell you how hard these guys are driving, because Nick Olson had made his way up to the outside, passed on the outside, and here comes Robert Roeder now on that outside lane, being pushed by Will Road Armor. The only driver to stay out for 29 laps so far today. 30 laps coming next time by the start-finish line, so fuel may not be a factor if Road Armor's up here battling for the lead as he nearly door slams to the passenger side of the 50. Nick Olson with a charge, getting pushed heavily by Road Armor. Oh, contact in the back. It's going to be a crash, and that is Christopher Lewis collects the 12. Caution is out. Spillman has a piece of it as well. Caution out once again, this time by Ted Rekich involved. Lucas Cram may have been involved. More drivers possibly wrecking by the looks of it. Caution is out, and now our question has been answered about fuel. We're expecting everyone to come down this time by, but Rekich with a heavily damaged front end. Benjamin Nelson was caught up in this as well. Everything has been completely thrown out the window from our starting grid and positions. Well, we're going to find out what exactly had happened here. It started around Christopher Lewis, who had gotten turned. And Lewis with a heavily damaged front end. Well, that might be it for Christopher Lewis. 95 Christopher Lewis. Just gets turned by Colin Fern, who may have been looking to the inside. The 46 gets a piece of it. The 12 up on 2 wheels. It was just on from there. The 9 getting by. Oh my gosh, the 1 of Michael Klein. Having a very close moment here. We'll see if we can get a replay here of Michael Klein avoiding that from an onboard perspective, because that was close if I'd ever seen that. Well, he bumped the 07. No harm, no foul. Avoids the 33. Whew, the seas have parted for Klein. We'll get one more onboard look with Colin Fern, as everybody is currently now in pit road. We have to rewind it one more time, unfortunately. Apologies for that. Oh, he had it. He had a nose on the inside. Oh, Nelson was definitely involved by the looks of that. The 12 as well. Fern was trying to get back going, but to no avail. That 12 machine being involved. Not sure who that is entirely, as I don't believe we have a number 12 in our scoring. Actually, we do. That is Raymond Lees. Apologies for the confusion. But we are back live now with 2 drivers that have decided to stay out with 13 laps to go as we come down the back straightaway now. Lucas Cram, Dustin Schwingle, both have stayed out. Both are on 21 laps of their current runs. Both had pitted 21 laps ago. Nick Olson, Alex Fox, and, well, basically anybody from 3rd place down to 28th has went to pit road. Cram and Schwingle are the only drivers that have yet to pit. If this hasn't been an insane race, I don't know what will be heading into, say, probably 2008, the Legacy Edition of Daytona 2008, because that is on the schedule. That is going to be in 2 weeks' time for race number 4. Race number 6, I should say, actually. Going to be double-checking that just to make sure. But next week, regardless, of course, it's going to be Daytona once again, under the lights, 80 laps. And then the week after, we come back here to Talladega on June 25th for the Alabama 200. And then week number 5 for your Independence Day weekend, essentially. Just kick that off. It is July 2nd, Daytona 2008. The Legacy Edition of Daytona, of course, in the daytime. And that abrasive, incredibly bumpy surface is something to watch out for by a huge margin. Well, with 12 laps to go, coming to 11 on the restart, make your predictions now on who you think is going to win, because at this point, I don't believe we really will be having a solid prediction that will work out. I mean, the field has been completely reshuffled. If we go through your top 10 here, well, Lucas Cram is back in 1st. Dustin Schwingle started 5th. Nick Olson is currently 3rd. He started 9th. Alex Fox started 3rd. He's 4th. Derek Newsom started 11th. He's 5th. Will Rodarmer started 6th. He's started 8th. He's currently 6th. Actually, that should be swapped, but Robert Roeder started 7th. He should be currently restarting in 6th by live timing standards. He is in 7th. Starting in 8th was Will Rodarmer. He restarts in 7th. Alex Bella started 15th. He restarts 9th on the inside. Clint Spillman started 13th. He restarts in 10th. And Brendan Hoff went from 4th to 11th. Travis Ferry, he was up front. He started 19th. Lucas Strayer started 23rd. I believe he was up front for a couple moments. Luke Parks, he started 21st. I mean, it's a complete reshuffle, and no one knows what's going to happen at this point. It is a almost literal dice roll. With this kind of gambling, we should probably go to Vegas at some point. Make your predictions now on who you think is going to win. because you have a 1 in currently 26 chance of doing so. 3 drivers not on the lead lap. In fact, Colby Wells has unretired. He's back racing on the track. Possibly had to get some damage repaired, not entirely sure, but Wells is back. So you have a technically 1 in 29 chance, depending on however many cautions we get in these final 12 laps. Colby Wells, 9 laps down, possibly not going to be back on the lead lap anytime soon. So, in perspective standards, Raymond Lee's 1 lap down, possibly 2 laps down at the start-finish line as he still sits in pit road. You have a 1 in 26 chance of getting your driver right on who is going to win. 11 laps to go. 26 drivers on the lead lap. 29 total, at least on track in some form. It is a shootout as we go back green flag racing. And Lucas Cram will lead them into turns 1 and 2, being pushed heavily by Nick Olson. Dustin Schwingle will remain third. Derek Newsom will remain in fourth. Alex Fox falling back on the outside lane, but not for long. Schwingle goes up top in the number 7 machine. Nick Olson looks to go up top as well, but will not happen right now. Here comes help in the form of number 27 and pretty much anybody else on the outside lane. Here comes Clint Spillman, who's 3 wide on the outside lane at Daytona, off turn number 2 on the final lap. Nick Olson goes up to the outside lane. We've seen him dive up or move up to the outside lane multiple times. Somebody who doesn't want to be going out to the inside lane, however, looks to be the number 30, no, the 15 of Alex Bell. He got a piece of the apron. It loosened up his car, but he does hang on to it. So is everyone else around in terms of avoidance. Five cars actually up on the top side versus 2 on the inside by a consistent margin. Well, it's obvious who could win this one, but on the entry to turn number 3, or the entry to any corner rather, the inside lane always gets a slight advantage. Look at Olson peeking down, moving to the inside, and Schwingle looked to dive to the inside. He decided not to. For some strange reason, he had a chance there. But I guess he thinks he's actually going to help. He's going to bring Alex Fox with him, as well, I can assume he might take the lead for himself. Schwingle leads the field with 9 to go at the start-finish line. He hasn't moved down just yet. He's going to bring the 27 to Fox with him. Here comes Spillman now down to 3rd. Fox will leave the 7 out to dry on the entry of turn 1. Well, get some popcorn, everyone, because it's going to be absolutely wild. And you may need a 15-second popcorn if possible. Nick Olson back out front on the outside lane, trying to get help from Dustin Schwingle in that number 7 machine. The outside lane very quickly falling back. The 50 does have room to the outside. So does the 44 of Cram. He goes to the outside lane as well. This time by the start-finish line, it is Cram by about half the car length with 8 to go. You see the 88 of Spillman, one lone driver, the only driver on the outside. Well, he is now falling back very quickly. He'll fall in line just behind somebody, by the looks of it, possibly the 26 of Stevens. Saw a piece of the 75 there at the very back of this group. Now, remember, Lucas Cram in the number 44 had not pit for almost 27 laps. It'll be 27 laps here at the start-finish line. The 44 has not pit. How is he on fuel? How is the 7 on fuel as well? These 2 drivers are on the outside lane. The 15 of Alex Fox, you see it possibly diving down to the inside lane just behind Benjamin Nelson, who's back up here once again. Huge push to the 44 from the 27 of Alex Fox. As it gets incredibly close, Fox moves up to the outside lane. Cram is going to be left with the number 50 of Newsom pushing him. Look at that, the outside lane. Benjamin Nelson leading a huge line to the outside lane. This is going to be a wild final 6 laps. And super speedways being super speedways, this is a recipe for disaster, and that may have started it, maybe not, luckily not. The momentum from the 24 diving up to the outside lane, of course, being incredibly different. That's something you always have to be wary, is that your momentum could always be incredibly different. It could stack up one of the lines that you move up to. And that's stacked up the outside lane for now. The middle lane, well, it's coming and going for the most part. Being led by the 27 Alex Fox. As they go down the back straightaway, believe it or not, coming to 5 laps to go this time. Look at this crash in the back, unfortunately, as we are going to be getting a caution thrown by race control. Whoa, wait. 95 in the 07, Christopher Lewis, there it is, and Mitchell Muma. That caution most likely thrown by race control. The 07's engine may be dead. Actually, no, it is not. He's able to get refired. Christopher Lewis involved in another crash in turns 3 and 4. He's trying to get it back going, but that will not be the case. Caution is out. We are going to be in for a very, very wild finish. Christopher Lewis, unfortunately, having to take a tow back to pit road. Replay coming up on your screen momentarily here, involving Christopher Lewis in the 07 of Mitchell Muma. About to slow motion this, unfortunately, but we'll wait and see. 95, Christopher Lewis. 26 as well around. That's Sean Stevens. I think Sean Stevens may have been tagged ever so slightly by the 48 by the looks of it. Yes, he was. It was just a line difference. And that sends the 3 cars up to the outside. The 20, so it's the 26, the 95, and the 07. The 11 as well gets a piece of it, and the 48. 46 able to get by with possibly no scratches. And the 69 of another driver also able to get by. That is Tim Brangan. Taking one more look. We'll take a slightly extended look as much as we can at this replay here. Any and all angles are available to us. Going to be riding on board Quinn Gingrich as they make their way down into turn number 3. Moves up, and the inside lane stacked up as well. That is why that happened. Let's ride on board the number 26 here, because he is, of course, the one that got turned. But also we can hear his engine as we go down into turn number 3. Of course, the backfire may not always be enough, but that backfire is from the drivers lifting off the throttle. Now it's pretty much everybody. It was a heavy, heavy accordion effect here. So riding on board Sean Stevens. Yeah, he did lift. Everyone's stacked up in front, unfortunately. A couple nice avoidances, though, from the number 69 of Tim Brangan. Immediately goes to the inside lane as well. Just hangs onto it. And that is a look at the replay, see what had happened. So we are now coming back to live pictures. This time by, one can only assume that it will be 3 laps to go, and the lights will go out. Then we will have 2 laps available. Or, 3 green white checkers available. 3 green white checkered attempts available, but 2 laps regardless for the initial restart until the end of the race, unless this has extended, which I highly doubt. And double checking our scoring. Lap 75 is still our final lap. And we will not have a green-white checkered attempt for the moment. What happens in the next, coming now to 3 laps, is something yet to be seen. 44 saving some fuel, has not pitted for coming to now 31 laps. The same goes for the number 7 of Dustin Schwingle. So listen in car. Cram in the lowest gear, saving fuel. Same might be going for Dustin Schwingle. He's definitely in the lowest gear to save fuel. And now, it's a matter of who can at least just make it to the end. Because whoever makes it to the end, of course, will be winning. We have Nick Olsen, who was absolutely dominant in the first stage, winning the first stage, getting those 10 stage points. Well, now he has to go from 6th to 1st if he does manage to make it. At this point, the anticipation will continue to ramp up. The adrenaline will continue to ramp up. And at some point, something, like I mentioned, will have to give. Now it depends, when we come to the final lap, if a third line will even happen. Now, as well, when we cross the start-finish line to take the white flag, that is it. Whatever happens past the white flag, the race will be ending under green flag conditions. And that's an iRacing standard, of course. Nothing can be done about that. Once the white flag happens, no cautions will come out. It is at that point a survival to the end. Unfortunately, an issue over on our side. Not sure if we dropped out, but pretty sure we did. If we did, apologies. Please let us know. The iRacing had dropped out on our side momentarily. If the stream did drop, that was a slight internet issue, unfortunately. But regardless of whatever happens, we will be bringing you the final 2 laps. Whether it's live, whether it's delayed. Base car will pull into pit road, but will it be for the final time this afternoon? Flag in the hands of the starter. Field in control of the 44 of Lucas Cram. Alex Fox on the outside. Cram in position to win 2 weeks in a row. This is a race to lap number 75. Green flag flies. Cram with a great start. Maybe a bit too big of a gap because Dylan Schwingle and Alex Fox have a smaller gap. Of course, a much better chance to get up to speed. But look at that. Derek Newsom going to be absolutely pushing the back bumper of the number 44, and he'll actually create a gap between himself and the 27, possibly on the back straightaway as they come down, and that will not happen just yet. Derek Newsom, new to the series this week, will look for the white flag if he can get by the 44 of Lucas Cram, but he looks to be helping Cram out for the moment. No crashes as we come off turn number 4. A few drivers making their moves to the outside lane. No caution, waiting to cross the start-finish line. Almost a near wreck for Luke Parks. That is it. This is the final lap, and whatever happens will happen under green flag conditions. The inside lane stacked up, single file. Somebody's going to have to make a move, and that somebody will have to be Derek Newsom if he wants to win. Alex Bell goes to the top side. Clint Spillman will join him. Newsom looks to be focused on pushing Cram to the win. Here comes Alex Bell with Spillman behind him as they nearly wreck on the back straightaway. They hang on to it. 3 wide, 4 wide in the back as they're going to crash behind. The 38 goes around, but it's a drag race up front. We'll take a look momentarily. Drag race up front. Clint Spillman looks to dive to the outside lane. It's going to be, by the looks of this, for 2 weeks in a row, it is Lucas Cram coming to the win as Derek Newsom tries a last-ditch effort, but it will not be enough. By a car length, Lucas Cram wins the Talladega 200. 2 wins in a row for Lucas Cram. Derek Newsom with a last-ditch effort. If he had moved to the outside off turn number 4, he would have made it as they are still wrecking after the finish. an incredible race and another incredible finish. And we'll take a look at the entire last lap momentarily. The top three will be interviewed. We'll take a look at the results. Lucas Cram with 2 wins in a row. Congratulations to him. A very heavy congratulatory bump from what looks to be Alex Fox, and the 97 looks to be chasing him down to give him a congratulatory bump as well. And a congratulatory slam to the number 15. Alex Bell might be trying to do so as well, but it will not happen. For 2 weeks in a row, Lucas Cram burns it down at the start-finish line. Just like his car says, grit on the car. Well, it's also grit and determination. We'll be right back momentarily with your post-race interviews and your final finishing results here at Talladega.
There you see Dale Earnhardt, the defending champion, a man who has won here at this racetrack. He has been absolutely second to none in 1987.
Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win, his 4th win of 1987 out of 6. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 in North Wilkesboro.
Everyone's wondering what can stop Dale Earnhardt. He's on a roll, 4 wins and 6 starts. I mean, is there anybody can handle you?
There may be a little more here underneath the sheet metal.
Well, I'm sure this afternoon we'll know a lot more, and we've got 500 miles to run. We'll see what happens.
Good luck today.
Our magnificent 19th annual $500,000 Talladega 500 is won by Dawsonville, Georgia's Bill Elliott, and the siren is beginning to ring. You'll probably hear it in Dahlonega. Bill Elliott has won. Davey Allison second.
Elliott now getting a challenge from Tim Richmond, but he closes again right in behind Earnhardt, coming down off turn 4. And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible. Decent driving by Earnhardt. 7 laps to go. Earnhardt went on the grass.
Dale Earnhardt is reminding Mr. Elliott, you make one mess up like that, and I might get through.
When you come to North Wilkesboro on a short racetrack, you expect some fender to fender and even some paint trading going on out there. We've seen it already as Brett Bodine gave Jerry Cranmer a nudge in the rear end, and now we're seeing some great competition out there between Dale Earnhardt and Bill
Well, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway here, as we are back live, ready for your post-race interviews. But first, we have to take a look, of course, at your finishing results after this week's Talladega 200. And coming to the finish with all 75 laps, no need for a green-white checker. It was Lucas Cram, after starting first and finishing first, 2 wins in a row for the number 44 this week. And it will be Derek Newsom from 11th to 2nd He'll be finishing in second place with a last chance effort to try and get a lead or try and get the win at the start-finish line. Unfortunately, that was not the case, but he does come home with, again, P2. Benjamin Nelson has went up and down the field more times than a yo-yo, apparently, just by the looks of it from the times that we've noticed him, and he will finish in position number 3. Alex Bell started 15th. He finishes 4th. Lucas Strayer started 23rd. He finishes 5th. Luke Parks started 21st. He finishes in 6th. Clint Spillman started lucky position number 13, finishes lucky number 7. Nick Olson started 9th, finished in 8th. Robert Roeder started in 7th, and he'll fall back 2 positions to 9th. Dustin Schwingle falls back 5 positions from P5 to P10 at the end. And then the rest of your field here for your 31 car field, it was Will Roadarmor, Michael Klein, Alex Fox, Brendan Hoff, Travis Ferry, 11th through 15th. Brett Murphy, Colin Fern, Robbie Lyons, Sean Stevens, and Quinn Gingrich from 16th to 20th. Tim, I can English properly, that would be absolutely incredible. Tim Brangan finishing in 21st, a little bit of a tongue twister there in a sense. Dane Cruz, 22nd. Joey Picuella, 23rd. 24th, Sean Howell. 25th, Ted Rekich. Mitchell Muma in 26th. Christopher Lewis, 27th. 28th was Colby Wells. 29th, Raymond Lees. Alan Ballacino had retired early to finish in 30th, as well as finishing 31st will be Stephen Ellis. Unfortunately, 57 laps down. A lot of bad luck early on in this race. Well, to start off your post-race interviews with your Talladega 200, at least at the completion of this, we are going to start off again with your race winner, and that being Lucas Cram for the second week in a row. Lucas, how do you even do it?
I don't really know how that one came about. I got turned there before the end of the stage, so I had to use my fastest pair at the stage caution, so I had like a minute and a half of damage. So I kind of rode in the back a little while, then I was debating to go to the front, but it seemed a little bit too messy for me to get up there, and I kind of just got lucky, I guess, avoiding those wrecks. So then I kind of went back up there about 20 to go because I knew it'd be kind of hard to, go through the field if I wasn't going up there then. And after being through a 4-wide top for quite a few laps in a row, I realized that we were close on fuel. So then my strategy once again changed, and I tried to save fuel a little while and through, obviously they wrecked there, so we got the caution. And then I actually, for a split second on pit entry, forgot that we had quickie yellows. So, usually if everybody's pitted, I would stay out just to lead the extra lap, try to get the bonus points, and I would pit the second time around. And then as soon as I got to the line, I'm like, oh, it's quickie yellow. Pit road's closed. And so I'm, checking my fuel to make sure I can make it. So I was just saving there under that caution, and I had about half a gallon or so there left at the finish. So I was pretty lucky there that not only did we not get a wreck for another overtime attempt, but then also Derek gave me a hell of a push there the whole way through. He was just glued my back bumper, did a great job. So I haven't really done much. Alan pushed me last week and just stayed with me the entire through and checkered, and then Derek pushed me here. So just I owe it to them, and it was a great finish though there for sure.
I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like you have a bit of extra back-end damage as well when you're doing your burnout. So possibly as well from Newsom just absolutely nailing the back bumper many times throughout that finish. So it was an absolutely incredible run as well. Heading into Daytona for next week, especially at night being the key thing. Well, what are your expectations for that?
Yeah, obviously same track we were at last week, but the night conditions kind of could change things up. Some things it's harder to see under the lights, especially the fact that Daytona isn't super bright of a racetrack with lights. So just kind of watching things around you. The net code unfortunately tends to be a little bit worse usually on iRacing at night races, so you have to kind of be mindful of when you're side drafting and what kind of moves you can make. But overall, I don't think it would be too different than the normal, especially last week at the same racetrack. But I don't think I've tended to fare too well in the night races actually in this league now that I think about it. So I'm probably not going to have much luck going into next week. But I guess I kind of used it up here these last 2 weeks, so I can't complain.
Well, before we go ahead and let you go, who'd you like to give a shout out to for your race win here this week?
Oh yeah, huge shout out to Robbie Lyons, co-owner of Being the League. So huge help having him help with things and try to get exposure on Twitter and everything. Huge shout out, of course, to the broadcast against it last week, but super happy to have you on board this season. Can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast tonight. So huge thank you to you for doing the broadcast. Huge shout out to Derek, of course, for that awesome push there at the end. Obviously gave me that win there. Shout out to Grit Motorsports. We did that last week, actually. So shout out to Grit Motorsports times 2. Obviously driving with them in their car. So huge shout out to them for having me on their team and everything. Huge shout out to everybody who came out and raced tonight. Obviously, about 30-something cars is the most we've had in quite a while. So awesome to have everybody on board of the season, racing the entire season, giving out prizes the first time of the season. It's awesome to have all that. And huge shout out to you for putting up my super long interviews.
That's fine. I have nothing to do anyways. So thanks for your time, of course. And we hope to talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was Lucas Cram, race winner. And now second place, we have Derek Newsom, who had absolutely an incredible race here coming into tonight. And, well, luckily led off with a second place finish.
Yeah. We had a hell of a car tonight. I mean, there's nothing else different about that. We got caught up in a wreck earlier today, put us back dead last for a while there with damage, but we got it fixed up, brought it back up there, and then ended up pushing Lucas to the win there. Wish I could have had a shot there to get up around him, but had to keep that outside lane at bay.
And of course, it did work out in pretty much all in the end. And I believe this has been your first race this season, unless I am somehow very heavily mistaken. But regardless, you did do a great job. And heading into Daytona for next week, especially it being a night race, what are your thoughts?
Daytona's always been one of my strong suit tracks. I've always run really well there. And here at Talladega, I've always been a little better at Daytona. I can feel I know how to navigate traffic just a little better there than Talladega, because Talladega, there's a lot more moving around and a little more unpredictability with everybody else in the race. But Daytona, everybody's a little bit finer with each other around the track, and I think I can navigate that a tad bit better.
Especially with navigating Talladega just ever so slightly better with coming into especially with this race. How exactly comfortable versus uncomfortable are you, especially with this track being, by the looks of it, possibly maybe about 3 lanes wider than Daytona?
Yeah, I'm good here at Talladega, but it's just, it's a little bit rougher than Daytona unless, you're running the 2008 version, in which case you're bouncing off the track every lap. But, it's different for each one. People say plate racing, it's the same with both. It's not. There's a different racecraft to both of them. And, I think I'm one of the better people at plate racing, but definitely looking forward to next week's race under the lights at Daytona.
Well, before we go ahead and let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to for your second place finish here this week?
I've had a United Launch Alliance on this car for a long time now. They really definitely gave me a rocket-powered ride tonight. But Lucas and we just got hooked up there at the end. That was amazing just to run with somebody, you can trust that well. But Lucas, ULA, Robbie Lyons, all of those guys put it on the league for us tonight. Looking forward to the rest of the season, and maybe we get to take on that prize at the end of the year.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your second place finish, and we hope to talk to you next week.
Thank you.
So that was second place finisher Derek Newsom, and finally we are going to wrap up at least the interview portion of your broadcast with Benjamin Nelson. And of course, just in mind before we talk to Benjamin Nelson is that we are going to be showing you the last few incidents that we had on the final lap. But speaking of incidents, I guess it kind of rolls into the sort of bad luck, but also good luck that you've had, Benjamin, because you have been involved in possibly looks to be maybe 20 different crashes, and you still somehow pull it together and get a third place finish, especially with that late charge coming to the end.
Yeah, I was trying to save that fast repair till the end, and I never really needed it. I just fixed the damage, and the car was fine. So just grinding it out at the end. I didn't really have like a winning card to play there because I started 8th, so I just try and get all I can, and 3rd was really the best I could get out of it.
Even with that, with the stages coming into effect as well, and drivers essentially seeming to be racing somehow just more and more aggressive once the stage end comes versus the race end. What are your thoughts during the ending of the stage versus endings of the race? What's your thought process for those?
I really the fast repair changes your way of thinking. So if you still have it, it's much easier to be more aggressive. And I tend to be like sort of middle of the road there. I don't really like go over the top, and I don't lay back. So I sort of just go for it, but I don't just make outlandish moves that don't work. So um, I usually go for stage points. I'm not one of the guys that like discards them because they're important for sure. I've had them play a factor in the championship before. So, but it was crazy how the difference between the driving styles of the stage and the end of the race differed so much. I didn't think that they were going to be so different. People were really aggressive at the end of the stage.
Yeah, the difference is quite interesting, especially when it comes to, again, just like you mentioned, the differences between the stage versus the end of a race. So, heading into the next about 3 or so weeks, what are your thoughts on that, especially when we start off July with the 2008 version of Daytona?
I am really looking forward to that. I always enjoy the bumpy tracks. I enjoy the low grip and sliding around a little bit. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Even with these Xfinity cars, they still have a good amount of slip to them on that track. So it's gonna be harder to bump. It's definitely gonna be harder to like tandem at that track, and it always has been. So nobody's gonna expect anything less. We just have to mind our p's and q's a little bit more there because it can get out of hand very fast.
Well, when it comes to things getting out of hand, well, we kind of saw that tonight in a sense as well. So before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before your third place finish?
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Lucas on winning again. I'll have to go beat him at some point, but everybody that puts this league together, including Lucas, it's a lot of fun, man. It just you just can't replace racing like this. It's so much fun when you got a group of guys that generally know what they're doing, and it's hard to find racing like that. It's really all I can say. I'm really grateful.
Well, we'll be able to talk to you again next week at Daytona. Until then, congratulations on your third place finish.
Thank you.
Well, that is Benjamin Nelson finishing up the third place position. Now, before we sign off, like we mentioned before, just before we interviewed Benjamin Nelson, we're going to bring up a replay of the final lap and the final incidences that had happened, regardless in that final lap. And it was a incredibly wild run to the finish regardless. So we're going to take a look throughout your entire final lap and we'll see what exactly happened, because it only looked to be one major crash off of turn number 4. So we will bring this up for you right now. So we see everyone making their moves up here up front, so we're going to slow this down. We did have a little bit of a look beforehand. It looks to be around the number, possibly about the number 2 or so, heading into turn number 3. We'll see if we can speed this back up. So it's on the entry to turn 3, where there was a crash of a couple cars. A few drivers did go wide here. And it looks to be the 24 and the 7 that made contact. They were 4 wide here as well. Dustin Schwingle and Nick Olson made contact, absolutely shoving themselves through. They almost hung on to it. And then the 38 of Sean Howell got turned around. As we unfortunately very shakily zoom out here. It was just on from there. The 48 got caught up in this as well. It was pretty much just on from there by the looks of it. The 11 of Brent Murphy, the 48 also had gotten involved. I believe there was one more crash just off of turn number 4. Just up ahead of these drivers, but I believe that was it for the most part. Just that one crash involving Sean Howell. And many, many other drivers, of course. So we're going to take one more look at this before we sign off for this week. Trying to work on getting you the best angle as well in the process. But the 46 was involved, the 48, the 69, the 11, the 9, the 27. Not sure if we said the 11, but he was involved as well. Joey Pecoella not being able to catch a break, unfortunately, getting involved in this crash as well. And he was pretty much at the very tail end. So we will see if we can get a final shot here of this replay. On board, Joey Pecoella, last driver involved in this crash on the final lap heading into turn 3. Oh, he went upside down as well. Luckily, the onboard camera survived. Joey, unfortunately, having the worst of that, not only by being at the end of the crash, but also just by having that happen to him alone. Well, that will pretty much do it here from the Talladega Superspeedway, from the Sim Auto Racing Group Superspeedway Series. This has been the Talladega 200, brought to you by, of course, the Sim Auto Racing Group Superspeedway Series, broadcast here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Next week, we head to Daytona once again for another 80 laps under the lights as well. Then we head to Talladega once again in the next 2 weeks, and then we kick off July's Independence Day weekend with the 2008 version of Daytona, the Legacy Edition. And well, with that track being incredibly bumpy and abrasive, one can only think and imagine on how that race is going to go. But thank you all for tuning in tonight for tonight's event. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you don't miss a single moment here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Until then, we hope to see you next time.